So I felt the need to come on here and talk. And this is real talk today, right now. May fall under relationships with children. Not sure. But I had a serious incident occur this morning. And I should have known. Because it was incredibly beautiful. Beautiful morning. And I found myself being disrespected by a nephew in a way that was what you might say unforgettable, I mean, because we got to forgive, but unforgettable. And I lost a dear friend to a nephew that was 26, 27 years old. He was, matter of fact, trying to set things straight, apologize, and because they had a tuffle the day before because of just straight disrespect. And he was trying to get things right. And when he got there, he was shot down, dead in the middle of the street. So it's real. These things that we are allowing our children to do and our youth to do and families, it is truly, a friend used to call it cancer. It is truly a cancer in our families and our communities. Back in the day, it was clear boundaries. You know, if one person got out of order, and see, this is the sad thing, because adults rallied together and they worked together. You know, it wasn't, well, he grown, and then when he not grown, he's a kid. Well, he's a kid. No, it's order. It's family order. And that's what I see we are losing on a daily basis. I don't care if Uncle Joe had, the only thing he had was a pair of pants, the tennis shoes, the clothes he had on. I don't care if Uncle Joe was running universities all over the world. Uncle Joe got respect regardless. And if you didn't respect Uncle Joe, the whole village was going to get you. You might get jumped today, tomorrow, and the next day. And don't let Uncle Joe be Auntie Jane, and it's a nephew, a man-child out of order. It just didn't happen. It did not happen on no day of the week. And we are allowing, a spirit to come into our homes and our communities, and it's been digging deep, and in there and digging deep for a long time now, for several years now. And so if we don't get a hold of it, it truly is a destruction of anything good in our families and in our communities. I remember talking to a Hmong gentleman many years ago, and I was talking to him about his experience here in America. He had been here, raised some families, and he, I think it was a family workshop I may have been running, and he was telling me about some of his children, and he said, America is a good place, but it makes bad children, makes very bad children. And, in my mind, I remember there were parts of, like, my community where, there were certain things in terms of certain, like, types of, God, I'm sorry, I'm spaced today, but murders and things that we just didn't participate in. And so when we heard something so horrendous on the news, we knew that wasn't, it wasn't our community, because we had boundaries, and there were traditions, and there were morals, and there was integrity and things that were just kept, and it was sacred. Core values, that we just didn't cross. And then we have crossed them. And it's like now you hear of, folks going in and shooting up babies in schools. And, for my family and community, that's just like, that's no way. That's a line you don't cross. But I believe that one day, if we continue on the road that we're on now, I'm telling you. So I have a family member, a young man, who is very extremely disrespectful. He has fought his father. He would fight me, but I can't fight him because I can't whoop him. So, it's all bad. It gets really bad, and he's 20-something years old. And if I had sons, they'd just kill him. They'd destroy him. But the sad part about it is I've seen I've seen him be respectful in areas and with other people and that kind of thing. But the disrespect is, our family wouldn't have it. It's a no-no. Kids were invited to the table to speak with wisdom. They certainly were. Teenagers even were, but you knew place, you knew order, and we are losing that order. Not only are we losing that order, at one time, adults rallied, and we hear this time and time again, but it's serious. Rallied together, it was one. That's how we controlled children. That's how we kept children on the right path. Is because it wasn't just one standing. It wasn't even just a family of, two. It was the entire village. We say that I'm almost tired of it takes a village because we're saying it so much, but we're not doing it. So we letting these kids just wild out, and it gets worse and worse. So this particular nephew started about 20. It wasn't just me. It was his father, fighting his father. And now he's 26. Well, see, that thing then travels, because it's a spirit. It then travels into the next generation, because that spirit will, a long life to live. It's going to be somebody else or something else, whether it's conversation, because he doesn't respect order. He doesn't have boundaries. And and people are just letting that thing get out of hand, and nobody's checking it. And the wisdom, the matriarchs that were once there in place that would make sure that order was maintained and sustained, they're gone off to glory, right? And so, and when we talk about crack epidemic, well, some of the stuff, I don't know. He actually came into the family kind of late. So I don't know all of what he went through and had to go through, but you go through things with children. All of us go through things with children, especially teenagers, 12 years old, where you have to, switch boundaries, and maybe the hold gets a little stronger, and then sometimes you got to loose it. You make your adjustments, they make their adjustments. But then you get to a place where then we all get it, right? And then we're now bringing in the next generation of folks, and now they're, teaching what they've learned, along their way. But when you got all of this disrespect, and it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. And so, and then guys like, kids are in and out of prison. So that's a whole nother, that's the jungle. That's like living in the wild, and you coming home and you bringing that stuff back into the home and back into the community, back into the kids. That stuff is in the schools. It's running rampant, man. So, man, we better get to praying. Some of this stuff ain't talking about. We got to get in some circles, and some serious circles. And yes, we do have to talk about it like this. We got to keep it real. But on the other side of it, we got to be praying, man. And we got to get some order in this in our our homes. You know, it's grown 50, 60-year-old folks and forgot where they came from and how we survived. You can't pass that stuff down to nobody. You lose your whole name. You lose your whole, and when I say name, I'm talking about the hard work and blood and sweat and tears, whether it was praying on their face, sitting down praying, you know, sitting around the kitchen table trying to figure some stuff out. Because yes, certainly we at times, as children, as youth coming up, lose our way. But the family has order enough to bring us on back in. But you got a wild one fighting adults, and then the adults forget that he did that to me. He did that to. Well, of course he gonna do it to me. He wasn't checked in. You know? And so I know how real it is. Like I said, I have a dear friend that, you know, shot dead. It might not be me, but it might be him. Somebody trying to get him for me, and, you know, and people doing, kids getting all riled up and just, you know, off the chain. It just creates, it's like a jungle of dysfunction. It ain't about hurt people. It's like, okay, but we got to do something about it. You know, you don't let the little stuff continue, because that's why I'm going to stay away. I'm going to stay completely away. I'm going to pray, but I'm going to stay completely away, because I don't trust me in that dysfunction. That ain't normal. And that is right. It's not normal. It's not normal behavior. For kids to be disrespecting mamas and cousins and aunties. And then, you know, I don't care, 26, okay. We couldn't even really, he a grown man. Our family knew we wasn't grown. Especially if you sleeping in my house and eating my food. And you better not be doing childish things. You better get it together quick, because I ain't going to be here long. That's for sure. But, and even so, there's boundaries that you don't pass. You don't cross. You just don't do it. I've seen these kind of videos, and I'm like, ooh, he's mad. I'm hot. I'm hot. But I'm putting it out here because it's real. It's not just in my family, it's across the board. I was sitting in a computer room the other day, and these babies, they 8 and 9, and they just think cussing is the thing to do. I get it. I got some music on there, and it's the music that I put on there with Tupac and all of them, they cussing. It's intentional. I put the music up there intentionally because can we imagine a Tupac at 50? Because they in and out. So I understand the process and the work. But I'm speaking to adults. I'm speaking to grown folks. If we do not come together and help these kids get right, and help them understand that there is family order, there is respect, and always respect for your elders. See, I don't play with kids that don't have respect for elders. I was talking about the kids in the computer room, 8 and 9 years old. They cussing like because they away from home. Now, if I sit there and act like they're not saying nothing, I'm out of order. But I turn to them and say, hey, watch your mouth. Oh, watch your mouth. Wasn't another cuss word flying, and I mean all of them. It's about 10 of them in there cussing. That's all it took for me to say something. But if I'm saying something and it's another adult in the room saying, she's doing too much. She thinks she Mother Teresa. Come on now. But if a tribe, a village of strong men and women stand up against that disrespect and show them that there's some order, shuts it down, but that's the problem. The family itself, the whole family is broke down. The neighborhood, the community. And a lot of it is because, you know, I have seen grown women telling their grandkids to cuss, showing them how to cuss. Oh, why are you doing that for? 2 and 3-year-olds. Now our kids would cuss because they heard the cussing around. So you know, you hear them go, you know, shit. So you know they're hearing it, right? But you're not teaching them how to do that thing, and now you're going to start watching your mouth because you see how they're a sponge listening. I know I'm not perfect. I certainly can't do this thing alone. But I tell you, you may be gone and buried in your grave. That thing is going to cause a problem to the bloodline. If it's not checked. So anyway, I don't like to get too personal, but you know, if I'm going to do this thing, I know God says be sincere. And so here I am. You know, I really just went to go pick up a dog before I knew it. I was asking a nephew to let me in the door of my sister's home. And he turns around and spits. Come on. He turns and looks at me and spits. And no, he did not open the door. I lost it. God forgive me. It was truly a unforgettable moment. But I tell you, Mike Daly, this one was for you. Because I know the pain that we all felt losing you by the hands of your nephew. I don't want to make things worse. But we got to get things in order. That behavior is a cancer. It doesn't belong. So whether it's prayer, folks coming together, see, because family, matriarchs and wisdom, they get him in a circle and he'd understand at least where he was wrong. And how he can, and I shouldn't say wrong, but how he can do things better next time. I'm grown. I'm wilding out. I know where I went wrong, but I'm going to go from a 0 to 100. And I'm especially going to go from 0 to 100 from a child, and that's a child to me. It's a nephew disrespecting me, and actually any adult. Any adult. I do the same for if he was disrespecting my sister. My brother and him, that they had that thing in between them, and we were talking to him, but that was their thing. They had some father-son issues that they had to work through, but I knew still the same. He 2 years, you walking around like you a gorilla, you the young gorilla or the young lion, and you about to take him down and out, that's not allowed. Not in the family. It ain't allowed. You do that on the street. Because this is not the wild. This is a family. And he ain't been taught our traditions. So he now 26, still doing some crazy stuff. It's real. It's just like a kid you send away young and he goes to prison, and then he comes home out of prison bringing all that wild stuff into the family. And so then all the kids are influenced by that, and that ain't normal. That's dysfunctional. That's out of order. So you don't allow it. That's stuff you do inside, in there. Gated, chained up, and, you know, in a place where you're not free. This is freedom for everybody here. This is family. It ain't happening. So I stay far, 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 far away from him. But I just hope that, you know, one day, someday, he learns and he is taught the righteous way, the true way. You know, the way that the old ones, the old souls taught us. I'll never forget. So anyway, I don't know how long this is. It's a real one. It's a real one. And I figure if I'm going to be out here, I'm going to have to be out here real. God says sincerity. He can't use me otherwise. So here I am. Be well. Be love. Peace.